The alarm bells rang through Luna Station like angry metal birds. Admiral Jinha Kim stopped drinking his morning coffee and looked up at the red lights flashing on the ceiling. Something was very wrong, Admiral. A young officer ran into the command center. His face was white with fear. We have an incoming message from deep space. It's huge, sir. The signal is stronger than anything we've ever seen. Jinha put down his coffee cup and walked to the main screen. Dozens of officers worked at their computers. The Luna Station Command Center was the heart of Earth's defense system. From here, they watched over all human space, Earth, the Moon, Mars, and the asteroid mining stations. Put it on the main screen, Jinha said. His voice was calm, but his hands were tight. He had been a soldier for 30 years. He knew danger when he felt it. The screen flickered. Then a figure appeared that made everyone in the room step back. It was tall, maybe 10 feet high, made of what looked like living crystal. Its body sparkled with strange lights. When it spoke, its voice was like breaking glass. I am the arbitrator of the Galactic Council, the being said. I speak for the 1,000 worlds that rule this galaxy. We have watched your species, humans of Earth. We have seen what you do. We have decided. Jinha felt his stomach drop. The Galactic Council. Every human had heard stories about them. They were the ones who controlled the galaxy. They decided which species could live and which would die. Most humans thought they were just stories. Now they knew the truth. Your species is dangerous, the arbitrator continued. You grow too fast. You change too quickly. You do not follow the rules that keep peace in the galaxy. You take what you want. You fight when you should surrender. You ask questions when you should obey. Behind Jinha, he heard Officer Haran Park whisper, oh no, this is really happening. The crystal being raised one arm. The Council has made its decision. You will stop all expansion beyond your solar system. You will call back your colony ships. You will destroy your weapons. You will accept Council observers on your worlds. You will follow Council law. Jinha's jaw tightened. He looked around the room. Every officer was staring at the screen. Some looked scared. Some looked angry. All of them were waiting to see what would happen next. You have 72 of your hours to agree, the arbitrator said. If you do not agree, we will come. We'll burn your worlds. We will destroy your ships. We will erase your species from the galaxy. No human will remain alive. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The screen went black. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The only sound was the hum of computers and the quiet breathing of 40 shocked humans. Then intelligence. Officer Quan Li spoke up, sir. We're getting reports from all over human space. The same message was sent to every colony, every mining station, every research post. Everyone got it. Jinha nodded slowly. He walked to the big window that looked out at Earth. The blue and white planet hung in space like a jewel. Somewhere down there, 3 billion humans were living their lives. Most of them didn't know yet that their species had just been told to surrender or die. Sir Haran Park stepped forward. She was young, maybe 25, but she was one of the best navigators in the fleet. What are we going to do? Jinha turned away from the window. His face was hard as stone. We're going to do what humans always do when someone tries to push us around. Which is what, sir? We're going to push back. Quan Li pulled up a holographic display. Admiral, I've been analyzing the message. The signal came from the direction of the Centauri system. That means they have ships close to us, maybe very close. How many ships? Jinha asked. Unknown, sir. But if the stories are true, the Council has fleets bigger than anything we can imagine. They've been ruling the galaxy. For thousands of years, they have technology we've never seen. They have weapons that can destroy entire worlds. Jinha smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had just been told to fight impossible odds. Good. I was worried this would be too easy. Haran Park stared at him. Sir, with respect, they're talking about destroying our entire species. This isn't a joke. No, it's not a joke, Jinha agreed. It's an opportunity. An opportunity? Jinha walked to the tactical display. Showed all of human space, Earth, Luna, Mars, the asteroid belt, Jupiter's moons, and the outer research stations. It also showed the dots of light that were human colony ships, already traveling to other star systems. "Look at this," he said, pointing to the display. 50 years ago, humans lived on one world. 20 years ago, we had colonies on 3 worlds. Today, we have people living in 12 star systems. We have mining operations in the asteroid belt, we have research stations around gas giants. We have colony ships heading to 40 different worlds." He turned to face his officers. "The Council thinks they know what humans are. They think we're just another species that will roll over and surrender when threatened. They're wrong." Sir Quan Li said, their technology is old." Jinha cut him off. "They've been using the same weapons, the same ships, the same tactics for thousands of years. They're used to fighting species that give up. They're used to fighting species that follow rules." Jinha's smile grew wider. "They've never fought humans before." He pressed a button on his command console. "All stations. This is Admiral Jinha Kim. Battle stations. I repeat, battle stations. This is not a drill." Across the room, officers began running to their posts. Screens lit up with tactical information. The quiet hum of the command center became a buzz of activity. Huron Park said, "What are your orders?" Ginaha looked out at Earth one more time. Then he turned back to his officers, sent a message to Earth Command. "Tell them we need to talk to the President. Tell them it's time to show the galaxy what humans do when someone threatens our home." He paused, thinking about the crystal being's words. 72 hours to surrender or die. And send a message to all human colonies, all mining stations, all research posts, all colony ships. Tell them what just happened. Tell them the Council wants us to surrender. "And then what, sir?" Jin Hakim, Admiral of the Terran Defense Fleet, looked around at his officers. These were good people, smart people, brave people. They were human. "Then we asked them a simple question," he said. "Do we surrender or do we fight?" From the looks on their faces, he already knew the answer. 12 hours after the Council's message, President Haren Choi stood in the United Earth Assembly building. The Great Hall was packed with representatives from every nation on Earth. Outside, millions of people watched on screens in the streets. Everyone wanted to know what humanity would do. Haren looked at the faces in front of her. She saw fear in some eyes. She saw anger in others. But she also saw something else. She saw the look that humans got when someone told them they couldn't do something. It was the same look humans had when they climbed the highest mountains, when they sailed across dangerous oceans, when they reached for the stars. "My fellow humans," she began. Her voice was calm and clear. "Today we received a message from the Galactic Council. They have given us an ultimatum. They want us to stop growing. They want us to stop exploring. They want us to give up our dreams of reaching the stars." She paused and looked around the room. "They have given us 72 hours to surrender everything that makes us human. If we refuse, they promise to destroy us all." Murmur went through the crowd. Some people shifted in their seats. Others leaned forward, waiting to hear what came next. "I have spent the last 12 hours talking to our military leaders, our scientists, our colonists on other worlds. I have asked them all the same question. What should we do?" Huron walked to the center of the stage. Behind her, a huge screen showed the image of Earth from space. The blue and white planet looked small and fragile against the black of space. "Admiral Ginha Kim told me something today. Said the Council has made a mistake. They think they know what humans are. They think we are just another species that will give up when threatened. They are wrong."
Ow.
She turned to face the camera that would broadcast her words across the galaxy. "The Council wants to know our answer. I will give it to them now." The hall became completely quiet. Outside, people stopped talking and gathered around screens. On Luna Station, Admiral Jinha and his officers watched. On Mars, in the asteroid belt, on Jupiter's moons, humans everywhere stopped what they were doing and listened. "To the Galactic Council," Haren said. Her voice was strong and clear. "You have threatened us. You have told us to surrender or die. You think this will make us afraid? You think this will make us weak? You are wrong." She stepped closer to the camera. "You want to know what humans are? I will tell you. We are the species that looked at the tallest mountain and said, I will climb it. We are the species that looked at the deepest ocean and said, I will cross it. We are the species that looked at the stars and said, I will reach them. Behind her, the screen changed. It showed images of human colonies on Mars, mining stations in the asteroid belt, research bases around Jupiter. It showed the colony ships traveling to distant stars. You say we grow too fast. You say we change too quickly. You say we do not follow your rules. You are right. You do not follow your rules because your rules are about staying small, staying weak, staying afraid. We are humans. We do not know how to stay small. Harin's voice grew stronger. You have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. You have told other species to surrender, and they did. You have told them to stop growing, and they did.
Yeah.
You have made them afraid, and they stayed afraid. But you have never met humans before. Luna Station? Admiral Jinha smiled. Around him, his officers stood straighter. This was what they had been waiting for. You want our answer? Harin continued. Here it is. No, we will not surrender. We will not stop growing. We will not stop exploring. We will not give up our colonies. We will not destroy our weapons. We will not accept your observers on our worlds. We will not follow your laws. The screen behind her changed again. Now, it showed human faces. Colonists, miners, researchers, soldiers. All of them looked determined. All of them looked ready to fight. You threaten to destroy us, you promise, to erase us from the galaxy. You think this will make us surrender, but you do not understand what you are threatening. You are not just threatening 3 billion humans on Earth. You are threatening the human spirit. You are threatening the part of us that refuses to give up. You are threatening the part of us that makes us human. Harin walked back to the center of the stage. We have a message for you, Council. We have a message for every species in the galaxy that thinks humans will just roll over and die. We will not go quietly. We will not disappear without a fight. If you want to destroy us, you will have to come and try. And when you do, you will learn something about humans that you should have learned before you threatened us. She paused and looked directly into the camera. We are at our most dangerous when you corner us. We are at our strongest when you try to break us. We are at our best when the odds are against us. You have just made the biggest mistake in the history of your council. You have picked a fight with humans. The hall erupted in cheers. People stood up and clapped. Outside, crowds roared their approval. On Luna Station, Admiral Jinha's officers cheered. Across human space, from Mars to the outer colonies, humans watched and felt their hearts swell with pride. But Harin wasn't finished. She raised her hand for quiet. To every human watching this, I have a message for you too. The Council thinks we are alone. They think we are weak. They think we are afraid. Show them they are wrong. Show them what humans can do when we stand together. Show them what happens when you threaten our home. She looked around the hall one more time. To our colonists on distant worlds, do not come home. Keep exploring. Keep growing. Keep being human. To our miners in the asteroid belt, keep working. We will need every resource. To our researchers on the outer planets, keep learning. Knowledge is power. To our military, get ready. We have a fight coming. The screen behind her showed the image of Earth again. But now it didn't look small and fragile. It looked like the home of a species that had just been challenged and had chosen to fight back. 72 hours, Harin said. That's how long they gave us to surrender. I have a better idea. Let's use those 72 hours to show them what humans do when someone threatens our future. She smiled, and it was the smile of a species that had just declared war on the galaxy. Council, you wanted to see what humans are really like. You're about to find out. The transmission ended. But across the galaxy, other species had been listening. And for the first time in thousands of years, they heard something they had never heard before. The sound of a species telling the Council, no. On Luna Station, Admiral Jinha turned to his officers. You heard the President? We have 72 hours to get ready for war. Let's not waste them. The countdown had begun. 36 hours after President Harin Choi's speech, human space looked like a kicked ant hill. Ships moved everywhere. Workers ran between buildings. Computers sent messages faster than ever before. The 72-hour countdown was half over, and humans were not wasting time. On Luna Station, Admiral Jin-Ha Kim stood in front of a wall of screens. Each screen showed a different part of human space. What he saw made him proud and worried at the same time. "Report," he said to Officer Hearn Park, who was now his second in command. Hearn looked at her tablet. "Sir, every civilian ship in human space is being fitted with weapons. The mining vessels are getting missile pods. The cargo ships are getting railguns. Even the passenger ships are getting defensive systems. What about the asteroid belt? The miners are moving fast. Sir, they're hollowing out asteroids and filling them with weapons, also setting up hidden supply stations. If the Council fleet comes through the belt, they'll face 1,000 gun platforms they can't see." Jin-Ha nodded. This was good, but he knew it might not be enough. What about Mars? The factories are running day and night. They're making missiles, armor, and ship parts. The surface bases are being turned into fortresses. The orbital platforms are being armed with everything. We have... Officer Quan Li walked over with his own report. "Yes, sir. I have news from the colonies. Tell me." "The colony ships are not coming back. They're doing what the president ordered, spreading out and setting up bases. But they're also doing something else." "What?" Quan smiled. "They're dropping hidden supply stations everywhere they go. It's not just on the worlds they were supposed to colonize. They're dropping them on moons, asteroids, even in empty space. If we lose Earth, we'll still have bases spread across 50 star systems." Jin-Ha felt a warm feeling in his chest. This was why he loved humans. Give them an impossible task, and they would find a way to make it work. "What about intelligence? What do we know about the Council fleet?" Quan's face became serious. "That's the bad news, sir. Our deep space sensors are picking up something big coming from the direction of Alpha Centauri. Very big." "How big?" "We think it's at least 1,000 ships, sir. Maybe more. They're moving at sublight speed, but they're fast. They'll be here in 36 hours. Jin-Ha felt his stomach drop. 1,000 ships. Humans had maybe 200 ships total, and most of them were not real warships. Sir Heron Park said, "There's something else. The engineers have been working on something they want to show you." Jin-Ha followed her to the engineering section of Luna Station. There, a team of human engineers was working on something that looked like a normal missile, but bigger. "Admiral," said the lead engineer, a woman named Dr. Kim. "We've been studying the Council's old technology. We found something interesting." "What?" "Their ships are very advanced, but they're also very old. They use the same designs they've used for thousands of years. They're predictable," she pointed. "To the missile. We've made this using human technology and some Council technology we captured from old wrecks. It's not just a missile. It's a smart missile. It can think. It can adapt. It can learn." Jin-Ha looked at the weapon. "Will it work?" "Don't know, sir. But it's different from anything they've seen before. They won't know how to stop it." This was the human way, Jin-Ha thought. When you can't win with strength, you win with cleverness. When you can't win with numbers, you win with surprise. "Make as many as you can," he ordered. Meanwhile on Earth, something else was happening. The news of the Council's threat had spread to every human on the planet. But instead of making people afraid, it had made them angry. In the factories, workers volunteered for extra shifts. In the universities, students worked day and night to solve technical problems. In the military bases, soldiers trained harder than ever before. Everyone wanted to help. But the real change was in the human spirit. All the first time in their history, all humans were united against a common enemy. There were no more arguments between countries. There were no more fights about politics. There was only one question: how do we beat the Council? Stories began to spread through the networks. Stories about human history. Stories about times when humans had faced impossible odds and won anyway. The story of 300 Spartans who held off 1,000,000 enemies. The story of a small island nation that fought off the greatest empire in the world. The story of explorers who sailed into unknown oceans and found new worlds. These stories reminded humans of something important. They had always been the species that refused to give up. They had always been the species that fought when fighting seemed hopeless. They had always been the species that found a way to win. On Mars, the miners were doing something special. They were not just digging for metals, they were digging tunnels. Deep tunnels. Tunnels that went down into the planet's core. If the Council destroyed the surface, humans would keep fighting from underground. On Jupiter's moons, the researchers were working on new technologies. They were studying the Council's old ships and finding weaknesses. They were designing new weapons and new defenses. They were preparing for a war that would be fought with science as much as with guns in the asteroid belt. The miners were doing something that had never been done before. They were turning the entire belt into a weapon. They were connecting the asteroids with hidden cables. They were setting up a network of communications. Were making the belt itself into a giant machine of war. But the most important work was happening in the minds of humans everywhere. They were remembering who they were. They were remembering that they were the species that had looked at the stars and decided to reach them. They were the species that had faced extinction before and survived. They were the species that became stronger when the odds were against them. 20-4 hours before the Council fleet was supposed to arrive, Admiral Jinha received a message from Earth Command. It was simple. All preparations complete. Now human space is ready for war. Jinha looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 1,000 enemy ships were coming to destroy his species. But he was not afraid. He was excited. Harin, he said too. His second in command? Send a message to all human ships, all bases, all colonies. Tell them the Council is coming. Tell them we're ready. What else should I tell them, sir? Jinha smiled. It was the smile of a species that had just turned an impossible situation into an opportunity. Tell them it's time to show the galaxy what humans do when someone tries to erase us from existence. The countdown continued. But now, instead of counting down to surrender, it was counting down to war, and humans had never been more ready for anything in their lives. The Council fleet arrived exactly when they said they would. Admiral Ginha Kim watched from Luna Station as 1,000 alien ships dropped out of hyperspace near the edge of the solar system. Ships were huge, dark, and covered with weapons. They looked like metal sharks swimming through space. Sir, Officer Heron Park said, looking at her sensors, "I'm counting 1,047 ships. They're bigger than anything we've ever seen." Ginha nodded. The Council had brought enough firepower to destroy 100 worlds, but they had made one mistake. They thought they were fighting humans the way they had always fought other species. They were wrong. Quan Jinha said to his intelligence officer, "Are our people in position?" Quan Li smiled. "Yes, sir. Every asteroid, every hidden base, every supply station is ready. The Council thinks they're entering an empty solar system. They're about to find out how wrong they are." The Council fleet moved toward Earth in a perfect formation. Their ships were arranged in neat rows, following tactics that were thousands of years old. They had used the same strategy to conquer 100 worlds. It had always worked before, but they had never fought humans before. Sir Heron said, "We're getting a message from the Council fleet. Put it on screen." The arbitrator appeared again, his crystal body glowing with cold light. "Humans of Earth, your time is over. You chose to resist the Council's wisdom. You will face the consequences. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick." Ginha stood up. "Open a channel." "Channel open, sir." Ginha looked at the crystal being and smiled. "Arbitrator, I have a message for you and your council. You came here thinking you would destroy a weak species. Came here thinking we would beg for mercy. Came here thinking this would be easy. You were wrong about everything." The arbitrator's light flickered. "Your words mean nothing, human. You have 200 ships. We have 1,000. You have primitive weapons. We have technology beyond your understanding. You cannot win." "You're right," Jinha said. "We can't win, but we can do something else." "What?" Jinha's smile grew wider. "We can teach you what happens when you threaten humans." He cut the transmission and turned to his officers. "Begin Operation Hornet's Nest." Across the solar system, humans began to move. But they didn't move like any species the Council had ever fought. They didn't form neat battle lines, didn't follow predictable tactics. They moved like wolves hunting in a pack. The first surprise came from the asteroid belt. The Council fleet thought they were flying through empty space. Suddenly, asteroids that had been floating quietly for years came alive. Hidden weapons opened. Fire. Missiles launched from rocks that looked like nothing special. "What is this?" the arbitrator demanded, as his ships began taking damage. But the humans were just getting started. The asteroids weren't just shooting at the Council ships. They were moving. The miners had fitted them with engines. Rocks the size of buildings were flying at the Council ships like bullets. "Sir," one of the Council officers reported, "we're taking heavy damage. These asteroids are armed and mobile. We've never seen anything like this." The arbitrator was confused. In thousands of years of conquest, no species had ever turned their asteroid belt into a weapon. It was unthinkable. It was impossible. It was very, very human. "Destroy them all," the arbitrator ordered. But destroying the asteroids was like trying to catch smoke with your hands. As soon as the Council ships focused on one asteroid, 3 more would attack from different directions. Humans had turned the entire belt into a maze of moving weapons. The second surprise came from behind. The Council fleet thought they had come from the direction of Alpha Centauri. But humans were already there, waiting for them. Colony ships that the Council thought were harmless civilians suddenly revealed hidden weapons. Research stations that should have been empty opened. Fire. Sir Heron Park reported, "The colony ships are reporting success. They're hitting the Council fleet from behind." The enemy didn't expect attacks from ships they thought were already destroyed. The third surprise was the biggest. The Council ships were using their standard attack formation, the same one they had used for thousands of years. But Quan Li's intelligence network had studied old battle records. They knew exactly what the Council would do. Al-Jinha ordered. Every human ship in the solar system fired at once. But they weren't shooting at the Council ships. They were shooting at empty space. The missiles looked like they were missing their targets by miles. The Council officers laughed. "The humans can't even aim properly," one of them said. But the missiles weren't missing. They were smart missiles, designed by human engineers. They flew past the Council ships, and then suddenly turned around. They attacked from behind, from above, from below. They came from directions the Council had never defended against. Impossible. The arbitrator shouted as his flagship shook under the attack. How are they doing this? The answer was simple. Humans didn't fight like other species. Other species followed rules. They fought in predictable ways. They did what they had always done. Humans did what worked. The Council fleet tried to regroup, but the humans weren't finished. Mining ships that looked like harmless cargo vessels suddenly revealed massive railguns. Passenger ships that should have been evacuating civilians turned out to be loaded with Marines ready to board enemy ships. Sir Quan Li reported, "We're getting reports from all over the system. The Council fleet is breaking apart. They can't handle fighting an enemy that attacks from everywhere at once." But the biggest shock was still coming. The Council had expected to fight Earth's defense fleet. They'd expected to fight Mars. They'd expected to fight the asteroid belt. But they had not expected to fight the entire solar system. Jupiter's moons opened. Fire with weapons that shouldn't have existed. Saturn's rings turned out to be hiding gun platforms. Even tiny Pluto had been turned into a weapons depot. How is this possible? The arbitrator demanded. How did a primitive species turn their entire solar system into a fortress? The answer came from Admiral Jinha himself. Because we're humans, we don't just defend our home, we make our home into a weapon. The Council fleet was in chaos. Ships that had conquered 100 worlds were being destroyed by converted mining vessels. Technology that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years was being beaten by human creativity and determination. Sir Heron Park said the Council fleet is retreating. They're running. Ginha watched as the proud Council ships fled toward the edge of the solar system. But he wasn't finished with them yet. Send a message to all human ships, he ordered. Begin pursuit. Don't let them escape. Sir Haran looked surprised. We're going to chase them? Ginha turned to her with the smile of a predator. who had just discovered that his prey was weaker than expected. Officer Park, the council made a mistake. They thought they were the hunters, and we were the prey. They were wrong. Now it's time to show them what happens when humans become the hunters. The battle for Earth was over. The war for the galaxy had just begun. 6 months after the Council's defeat, the galaxy looked completely different. President Haren Choi stood in the new Galactic Assembly building on Earth, looking out at representatives from 47 different species. The old council chamber had been empty for months. The new one was full of life, voices, and hope. Said Ambassador Keth from the Altarian Republic. His blue skin shimmered as he spoke. 6 months ago, we were slaves to the Council's rules. Now we make our own choices. Haren nodded. That's what freedom looks like, Ambassador. It's messy, it's loud, and it's beautiful. The transformation had been incredible. After the Council fleets defeated Earth, news had spread across the galaxy faster than light. For the first time in thousands of years, species everywhere learned that the Council could be beaten. The results were immediate and explosive. On Luna Station, Admiral Ginha Kim was reading reports from across human space. Each report made him smile more. Sir, Officer Haren Park said, walking into his office. The latest reports from the expansion. Fleets Ginha looked up from his desk. Tell me, the colony ships have established bases in 93 star systems. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is what else they found. What? Haren smiled. They found other species. Lots of them. Species that had been hiding from the Council for hundreds of years. Species that had been forced to live in secret. Species that had been waiting for someone to stand up to the Council. Jinha leaned back in his chair. And now they're coming out of hiding. Yes, sir, and they want to join us. This was the part that made Ginha proud. Humans hadn't just defeated the Council. They had given the entire galaxy hope. They had shown other species that freedom was possible. What about the Council remnants? Jinha asked. That's the best part, sir. There are no Council remnants. After we defeated their main fleet, the rest of their forces just gave up. Most of them went back to their home worlds. Some of them actually asked to join the new alliance. Jinha stood up and walked to the window. Below him, Earth continued to turn. But it wasn't the same Earth that had received the Council's threat 6 months ago. It was the capital of something new. Something that had never existed before in galactic history. What are we calling it? Jinha asked. The Free Worlds Alliance, sir. Every species that joins does so by choice. Every species keeps its own government, its own culture, its own way of life. But they all agree to one thing. No species has the right to rule over another. Ginha smiled. This was very human. Give humans a problem and they wouldn't just solve it. They would solve it in a way that made things better for everyone. Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Quan Li was in his office, reading the most interesting reports of his career. The defeat of the Council had changed everything, but the changes were bigger than anyone had expected. Sir, his assistant said, we're getting reports from the old Council worlds. What kind of reports? Revolutions, sir? It's the species that the Council controlled are overthrowing their governments. Yes. They're setting up democracies. They're asking for help from the Alliance. Quan shook his head in amazement. Hey, we didn't just defeat an enemy. We started a galactic revolution. There's more, sir. The trading routes are opening up. Species that haven't talked to each other in centuries are starting to trade again. The galaxy is becoming connected in ways it never was. Before, this was the human effect, Quan realized. Humans didn't just change things. They made things change themselves. They were like a virus of freedom, spreading across the galaxy. Back in the assembly building, President Haren Choi was addressing the representatives. Today, we make history. Today, we sign the Charter of Free Worlds. This charter promises that no species will ever again be forced to surrender its freedom. The representatives cheered. Some of them had never been allowed to cheer before. Some of them had never been allowed to speak freely. Some of them had never been allowed to make their own choices. But, Haren continued, we must remember something important. Freedom is not free. It must be protected. It must be defended. It must be earned every day. She looked around the room at the alien faces. That's why we're also establishing the Alliance Defense Force. If any species threatens the freedom of another, we will respond. If any species tries to build a new council, we will stop them. If any species needs help defending their freedom, we will help them. The charter was signed that day. 47 species agreed to work together, to protect each other, and to never again bow to a single ruler. But the most important signature was the first one: humanity. On behalf of all species that refused to surrender their dreams. 2 months later, Admiral Ginha Kim received a message that changed everything. It came from the edge of the galaxy, from a species that had never been heard of before. Admiral, the message said, we are the Keldari. We have been hiding from the Council for 800 years. Heard about what humans did. We heard about the Alliance. We have a problem. There is an ancient enemy coming. Tell me. The Council was afraid of. Something that destroys entire civilizations. We need help. Jinha read the message twice. Then he called for Heron Park and Quan Li. New mission, he told them. There's a species at the edge of the galaxy. They're facing extinction from an ancient enemy. They're asking for help. What are your orders, sir? Heron asked. Ginha smiled. It was the same smile he had worn when the Council first threatened. Earth. It was the smile of a species that had learned something important about itself. We're going to help them, he said. That's what the Alliance does. That's what humans do. When someone needs help, we help them, even if it's dangerous, Quan asked. Especially if it's dangerous. That's when help matters most. 3 days later, the Alliance fleet departed for the edge of the galaxy. It wasn't just human ships. It was ships from 20 different species, all working together, all ready to face the impossible. As the fleet jumped into hyperspace, Jinha thought about the Council's original message. They had called humans dangerous. They had said humans didn't follow the rules. They'd said humans asked questions when they should obey. They'd been right about everything, but they had missed the most important part. Humans were dangerous to evil. Humans didn't follow rules. That kept people enslaved. Humans asked questions that needed to be asked. And most importantly, humans didn't just survive impossible odds. They helped others survive impossible odds too. The galaxy was free. And humans were making sure it stayed that way. Haran. Park said as they traveled through hyperspace, what do you think we'll find at the edge of the galaxy? Ginha looked out at the stars streaming past. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's about to learn the same lesson the Council learned, which is never underestimate humans, especially when they're helping their friends. The fleet continued toward the edge of the galaxy, toward a new adventure, toward a new impossible challenge. Every human on every ship was exactly where they wanted to be, fighting the impossible, protecting the innocent, being human.